I sold my grocery store after owning it for 3.5 years, and in this video I'm going to share what led me to this decision. I posted the entire process of me opening the grocery store. I posted the pros and cons of owning a grocery store. I made a video on how to find suppliers. I posted a video on the cost of opening one. So I think it's really fair for me to share the reasons why I let it go, and also just so maybe you can learn from my experience if you want to open your own. So I really need to give some context and some backstory because it's really not a straightforward answer. So let's start in October 2020. So when I opened the business in October 2020, I was also going to university full-time, but it was during COVID, so I could do everything from my laptop. So it was really easy to manage setting up a grocery store and also going to university full-time. I don't think I could have attended university full-time and learned all the material and also started a grocery store. So that first year in business, I really focused all my time, energy, and resources into making it a modern Indian grocery store. If you watch my first video, you're gonna see that the store was really a rundown store and it was just really ugly. Like, we had to renovate everything. So I spent the entire year just focusing on it, building it, and making it look really nice. I also built an entire team to make the business passive. My ultimate goal for this business was for my parents to sell their existing business, and when they're close to retire, just take over the grocery store. That way they have an activity and they're not just sitting at home, because that's just horrible for your health. So that was my long-term goal. My short-term goal was for the business to be passive. So my second year in business, roughly October 2021, the business was going really well. I had a manager, a full team, and the business was breaking even. Breaking even in a new business is very normal, especially a business like a grocery store. You're lucky if you're not losing any money the first few years. Now, the main reason I was breaking even is because I wasn't working at the store. I hired an entire team, and labor is the most expensive expense. And I was also in the process of getting my initial investment back, which is a really slow process. Getting your initial investment back really depends on the profit margins, the revenue, the volume, and so on, but I was happy with how it was going. I obtained funding to grow the business. I invested in a lot of equipment. I was able to pay some of my personal expenses from it. I mean, things were really working out, and I was really happy with it. Third year in business, or roughly October 2022, that's when things started kind of going downhill. And the reason for that is suddenly the price of food just doubled. I mean, things were already going up in 2021, but in mid 2022, prices were out of control. And I'm gonna explain something that a lot of people actually don't know about the grocery store business. So there's basically three professionals. Let's just put it that way. I'm gonna try to simplify it as much as possible. The manufacturer, the wholesaler, and the grocery store owner. So the manufacturer is the people that actually make and produce the food. These are the people that control the prices the most. They are then selling it to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler is selling it to the grocery store. So the grocery stores are the people that make the least amount of profit because they're covering a double marked up price, and they need to mark it up to make a profit from the clients, but they also can't price it too high because it is food after all. And we also need to keep the prices similar to like the big box retail stores. Now, back in the days, this is not how it was. The manufacturer was actually the one making the least amount of profits. It was the other way around. They would sell their products for super cheap to the wholesaler. The wholesaler would add a little markup, and the grocery stores would make the most amount of profits. Things really changed over time, mainly because of taxes, shipping, carbon, and so on. So grocery stores that have been around for decades, I'm talking like 1900s, they already have these partnerships with these manufacturers. And I can't say for certainty, but I'm pretty sure they're buying it directly from the manufacturer, and they don't really have a wholesaler. And this is how they're able to maintain a very profitable business, unlike the small grocery stores like the one I opened. Therefore, they, or me up until recently, had no control over the prices, which is really hard because everyone's overhead costs are different, yet we all have to maintain a very similar pricing. So I really hope this gave you some context as to how it works pricing in this type of industry. So fast forward to mid 2023, I had to start making employee cuts. This was really hard because I had to be strategic, because I still needed an entire team because I have other businesses and other commitments. So I still couldn't work at the grocery store and just clock in. What we did instead is we explored different options. We grew the takeaway service a lot more because it's a lot more profitable, and that's a side of the business that was always going really well. I somehow picked back up with the takeaway service, but I was also ordering a lot less inventory for the grocery store. One thing I stopped doing completely was exploring new products. One thing that wholesalers do a lot is they're just gonna add to the bill a lot of new products, and I would just return them because I was just not looking to explore new things at that point. They also did tell me that their stuff wasn't moving because it was not just my store, it was every other grocery store that they were supplying to. Things were just not moving and there was not a lot of traffic. It almost felt like people were just buying what they absolutely needed to survive, and that's it. So when I processed all that information, I understood that this was not just my store, but most of these other little grocery stores, And I really had to make a decision. Do I want to work towards it or do I want to sell it? Ultimately, I came up to the conclusion that it was better to sell it for one main reason. And this is really important because I don't want to discourage anyone that wants to open a grocery store. This was a really personal decision. I didn't have time to deal with the issue that we were facing. There's always a solution with the right plan. I think anything and everything is manageable, especially when you've been in business for so long. I mean, this business was running before I even got there. I bought it from someone else. So I knew it was possible, but I just didn't have the time or the energy to really put into the store. I had other priorities and I just couldn't replace them. I'm 99.9% sure that if this problem never happened, if the price of food didn't double, triple, or quadruple, I would still be there. But the profit margins kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And of course, I still had to keep the prices relatively the same to the big box stores, and it was just not possible. So in early 2024, so this year, I reached back out to the same agent that helped me buy the grocery store. And there was a lot of interest, and rightfully so. It's a great business in a great location. But the best way to go about these small businesses is for it to be a family business so you can save on labor. If someone wanted to do what I want to do, so open a passive grocery store, you need to be in an area that's so busy because this business is really volume dependent. And that's another thing is when I first came into that area, it was super busy. There was a lot of traffic. But over time, because of the residential prices around skyrocketed, we started losing a lot of clients. And this, of course, affected my business a lot. And this was really something that I couldn't foresee. There was no way I could have known that these people are going to move away in a few months or in a few years. I think the traffic in this location over time went from an 8 to like a 4.5, maybe 5. From January to March, there was a lot of visits, a lot of showings, and a lot of people actually did put in an offer. But most of them had a really hard time obtaining funding. As you may or may not know, banks don't really finance projects like grocery stores. But let me tell you something, because when something is meant to be, something is meant to be. One day in April, someone just walked in and they saw the store and they loved it and they put an offer and they just bought it. So the store was sold to them, not the 50 other people that came through my agent that came and put in an offer. It was meant to be theirs. This was really something that happened overnight, but it's something that we've been working on for months. And just like that, a few weeks ago, this chapter of my life is officially closed. It was bittersweet, honestly. I worked really, really hard at the store. I put in so much effort just for it to be mine for 3.5 years, but it's okay. I learned so much from owning the store and setting it up. So what do I want to do moving forward? One, I really want to help people that actually want to start this store, and I want to share my mistakes so they don't make them. I really couldn't share everything before, number-wise and all that for privacy reasons, but I'm not the owner anymore, so I can pretty much share everything. Two, I really want to focus on 1 or 2 businesses because I think I was spreading myself way too thin owning so many different things. My activities are slowing down and I couldn't be happier. I opened the store at 21 years old. I'm 25 now, and I just look back and there's so many things that I'm just like, I can't believe I did this. This was not how you're supposed to do things. But I'm really, really grateful for these unforgettable life lessons. I learned so much. I hope this did not discourage you, but rather you learned something. Thank you so much for your time for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next video. Let me know what you want to see next. Bye.